Math 1, our agenda is on the sideboard. Today's date is the 6th. If you hadn't done so, please make sure that your first and last name is at the top of your packet. This is Women's Month, y'all. It's pretty cool. 3 March 6, 2023. The assignments that are due this week. Our review quiz is going to be on linear function word problems. Please make sure that you review everything about linear functions. Okay? We did slope. We did writing linear equations last week. This week, word problems, linear functions. Any questions about what I'm saying? Okay, you should also be able to go from standard form, ax plus by equals c. You should be able to go from standard form to y equals mx plus b. And that's what's in the homework tonight, okay? So you should be able to solve for y to put an equation in slope-intercept form. All of that's going together this week. On Friday, we're going to go ahead because we should be able to finish factoring all the way out. So we're going to have our quiz on factoring. Any questions? Okay, the essential questions. What does it mean to find zeros, roots, and it's supposed to be x-intercepts? They all mean the same thing, okay? That means where does the parabola or quadratic function cross cross the x-axis? Who's that, baby? Do you know? Is that one of my students? I don't know. I have no idea. She's using it though, so it's fine. All right. It says describe how to factor using GCF. Describe how to factor a trinomial. What are you looking for? Your pencil. Anybody can have that pencil, Brandon. I have no idea, honey. Anybody can have it by this point. All right. Describe how to factor trinomials. You're gonna have to factor trinomials where a is equal to 1, where a is not equal to 1. Describe how to solve a quadratic function, and describe the different ways to solve a quadratic function, because there are going to be different ways to do that. You can do it in the calculator, and you're going to do that by factoring. You're going to find either one of them are going to be not that hard at all. And then determine the meaning of the solution for a quadratic function, all of which we're just going to talk about this week. The agenda is on the sideboard. We're going to write in our planner. We got tutoring today. Tuesday and Thursday at 2:30, from 2:30 to 3:05. But your ride, the latest that your ride can be here is at 4 o'clock. 3:05 is when the session actually stops. Okay. And if you're not going to reading tutoring, you can go to reading tutoring afterwards. But if you're not going to reading tutoring, you can sit in the back and work on your homework until your ride gets here. So we got planner, warm up. I'm going to model factoring today. I'm going to get as far as I can get with factoring. And we're going to do some guided practice. The ones that I'm going with are on the board, GCF. Well, no, I'm doing grouping because we already did GCF. And I'm doing trinomials where the first or the leading term is 1. Okay? Any questions? Let's write down our goal in the front of our planner, please. My goal for this week is to make sure that I finish my lesson. A lot of times I don't get to complete my lesson, so my goal is going to be to complete my lessons. Okay, you write your goal, pause for the cause, give you a chance to think of what your goal is going to be. Work on. Your goal should always be something that you need to work on, okay? In the area of mathematics. All right, find a new page, and we're going to write down, we have tutoring, so please make sure that you write tutoring after school on Tuesday and Thursday. I'm going to write tutoring again. Okay, it's from 2:30 Ours is from 2:30 to 3:05. Tutoring in general, if you're doing both the reading and the math, ends at 3:50. Okay. The latest you can have your ride to pick you up is 4 o'clock. But our tutoring for Math 1 ends at 3:05. Okay. All right. Our Math 1, please only write the Math 1 homework. Please make sure that you watch the help video. Please also make sure that you complete the homework. Don't forget that all makeup work is due by Friday. And then from here on out, if you are present in school, then you need to make sure you turn your stuff in on time or it will be a permanent zero. Okay. The only folks that will have makeup work are people that are absent. All makeup work due Friday. Friday is the 10th. That is 3 10 23. I'll pause for the calls to give you a chance to write. All right, the warm up. The warm up, you can tell that this is your X. These two things are being compared. We got A Plus Cellular and Thrifty Talk, two different cell phone companies. It says the A Plus Cellular offers a data plan that charges $2.50 per giga and then a $9 fee. So the starting amount is $9 and from there it's going to go up to $50. The Thrifty Talk charges $4 per gigabyte and there's no monthly fee. So at 0 gigabytes, if you don't use any minutes, then you don't pay any money. Okay, for 1 minute you pay $4. For 2 minutes you pay 8. So it's $4 every single gigabyte. Okay. All right. So now use the table to create the graph. So along the x-axis we can go up by ones. We got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 gigabytes. Okay. And if you want to space it out, you can, let me see, is it 4? You want it to, if you want to space this out, since it's only going up by 4, you can go up by half. Okay, to space it out a little bit. If you want to, you don't have to. But this is 0, this is 0.51, then 1.52, then 2.53, then 3.54, 4.55. That spaces it out a little bit. Okay. And now the total amount. So this is the number of gigabytes on the bottom. Mhm. And this is the total cost along the side. And you got to go all the way up to looks like maybe $20 at most. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I can go up by twos. $2, $4, uh, 2, 4, 6. I skipped one. 8, 10, 12, $14, $16, $18, $20. Okay. And then I can graph. Let's graph cellular A first. So at 0, it's 9. So 9 is right in the middle between 8 and 10. And then it's 1150. So I'll go over 1 and then go up to 1150. So this is 10. 11 in the middle. 1150 will be right in the middle between 11 and 12. So this is 1150. And then at 2 it's $14. So go over to 2 and go up to 14. And then it's 1650. So go over to 3 and go up to 1650. This is 16. 17 is in the middle. So between the middle and the beginning is right in here somewhere. And then 4 and 19. So go over to 4 and up to, this is 19 is directly in the middle. So it should be a straight line because it's going up by 250 every single time. So the line should be a perfect straight line. Okay, and then you're going to do the same thing for, I'm going to let you graph the Thrifty Talk on your own. What does the X represent? The X represents the number of gigabytes. Number of gigabytes. Okay. And what does the Y represent? The Y represents the total cost for the plan. Total cost. Oops. Sorry, y'all. Okay. And then after how many amount will they be the same? Okay. And you can graph them both to see. You could graph them on here or you go to Y equals. The first one is 250x plus the $9. And then the second one is just 4x because there's no starting amount. So now when I graph them to see where they cross up here, or I can go to my table. It's probably better to go to the table. So let's see, at how many minutes are they the same amount? You said what? 6. Yep. I'm not minutes. At 6 gigabytes, they cost the same. So how many gigabytes? 6 gigabytes. At 6 gigabytes, both companies cost $24. $24. Okay. 6 comma 24 is the solution. X, Y. Okay. Any questions? I'll pause for the calls to give you a chance to write. Did anybody get that right on their own? That's wonderful. Good job, y'all. Let me pause. All right, let's put this in our folder. Put your packet in your folder, please. Nice, safe place for it. Take out your interactive notebook. We're going to finish up factor by grouping, which is page 20. And then we're going to start factoring trinomials, where a term is 1. Okay? So let's do factor by grouping, page 20. Let's finish that up. All right, I'm going to do the third example. Let me pause for the calls. All right, so I'm going to do number 3. We did 2. I'm going to do number 3, okay? All right. We're going to use the steps. I'm going to go through the steps again. The first thing you're always going to do is look for GCF, okay? If you don't have GCF, because it's 4 terms, you're going to find the GCF of the first 2 and factor, then factor the last 2 by using GCF, okay? That's why they say factor by grouping, because you're going to factor the first 2 terms and then the last 2 terms, okay? All right, so let's do number 3, the third one. The third one is this. We have 5x to the second minus 30x plus 2x minus the 12. Okay. All right, so the very first thing that we are going to do is look to see if there's a GCF for all 4 terms. Is there a greatest common factor other than 1? No, there's not. Okay. No, there is not. All right. So we want to factor by grouping. We're going to factor or find the GCF of the first 2 and then factor and find the GCF of the second 2. So what's the greatest common factor between these 2 terms here? 5. What else do they have in common besides a 5? X. They have at least 1 X in common. Okay. What can I multiply times 5x to give me 5x squared? X. Just the x. 5x times x will give me this 5x squared. Okay. What can I multiply times 5x to give me a negative 30x? Negative 6. Okay. And I factored the first 2 terms. Yes, baby. Why would we put 6? Because 5x times a negative 6 is equal to this negative 30. Do you understand, baby? Okay. All right, let's find the GCF of the second two terms. What's the greatest common factor between these 2 terms here? 2. Let's take out a positive 2. What can we multiply times a positive 2 to give me a positive 2x? X. What can I multiply times a positive 2 to give me a negative 12? Negative 6. Any questions about how we factored the second one? What's your question? Go ahead.
Wait, we get 6 and we divided by 2.
Because we divided by 2.
Okay.
All right, so now what does 5x and positive 2, what do these two terms have in common? Yes, they do. No, they're both being multiplied by the same group. They are both being multiplied by the same x minus 6. So you're going to put them together, 5x plus 2. And beside it, you're going to put the number or the term that they're both being multiplied by. And this is your answer. Any questions about that?
Yeah, I was using my pencil. I didn't see that.
Which part? That these two numbers, what do they have in common? They're both being multiplied by the same x minus 6. So put these two in a parentheses together, and beside it, the term that they're being, the binomial that they're being multiplied by. See, if I was to multiply this back out, I would say 5x times this, and I would say 2 times this. Do you see that? I would do distributive property twice. I would do 5x times this, and I would do 2 times this. That's the same line that this is. Do you see it? Okay. This is my answer. Let's do number 4. See if you can do number 4 on your own, please. Try this one. Okay. See if you can do this one on your own. Pause for the cause. Extra step. If you can't see it, if you can't see the factors that they have in common, you're going to have to draw a factor tree. Okay? So what factors do they have in common? This one. What's the greatest common factor here?
6.
No, because 6 can't go into 3. 3. The greatest common factor is 3. 3 what? 3x. They at least have one x in common. Shh. Okay, so what can I multiply times 3x to give me 3x squared? X. What can I multiply times 3x to give me 18x? Positive 6. Okay? Any questions about that part? Again, if you can't see it, you're going to have to draw a factor tree, okay, so that you can see the greatest common factor. All right. So now, what do these two have in common? What's the greatest common factor here? What else do they have in common? The negative. They both have a negative in common. So take out a negative 7. Okay. What can I multiply times a negative 7 to give me a negative 7x? X. What can I multiply times a negative 7 to give me a negative 42? A positive 6. Okay? All right, so now, what do these two numbers have in common? They're both being multiplied by the same group of numbers. So you can put these in a parentheses together. And beside it, the terms that they're being multiplied by. This is your answer. These are the two factors that if I multiply these two factors together, I'm going to get this as my answer. It is x plus 6. Oh, I put minus, sorry. Okay. Any questions? Let's try number 5. Draw a factor tree if you cannot find the greatest common factor between the two numbers. Then you need to draw a factor tree. All right, so let's do this one. 5x squared plus 2x plus 40x plus 16. Try this one, okay? Pause for the cause. Okay, let's do this one.
Get home and use it.
They do not have a GCF, a greatest common factor, for all four terms. There's not one number that will go into all four of those, or a variable. So you can't take anything out of all four of them. So now what you're going to do is factor by grouping. So let's group the first two and the second two together. Let's factor the first two first. What's the greatest common factor between these two terms? X. Any questions about how I get X as the greatest common factor? Okay, so I'm going to take out an X. What can I multiply times X to give me this 5X squared?
5x.
Just 5X. What can I multiply times X to give me this positive 2X plus 2? This first one is factored. Let's do the second. What's the greatest common factor between these two? 8. If you can't remember, draw factor trees for both of them. When you break down 40, that is 4 times 10, right?
Yeah.
Break down 4 to 2 times 2. Circle the 2's because they're prime. Break down 10 to 2 times what?
5.
5. Okay? Now let's do 16. When you break down 16, that's 2 times what?
8.
8. Circle 2 because it's prime. What about 8?
4.
4 times
2.
2. And what about 4?
2.
2 and 2. Okay, so now the prime factorization, let's do this over here. 40x is going to be, how many 2's is this?
3.
3 2's times what? 5 and times of what? How many x's? 1x. Okay, let's do 16. How many 2's for 16?
4.
4 2's for 16. Sorry, y'all. Can't see. Sorry. 4 2's for 16. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now let's circle all the terms they have in common. How many 2's do they have in common?
3.
1, 2, 3. So my GCF is going to be 3 2's. 2 times 2 times 2. What's 2 times 2?
4.
4. What's 4 times 2?
8.
So my GCF is 8. So let's take out a positive 8. When I take out an 8, what's left here? 5 and x. 5x. What's left here? Plus 2.
That was like so cool.
All right, so now, what do these two have in common? They're both being multiplied by the same group. So put them in the parentheses together. X plus 8. And they're both being multiplied. This is just another way to write that line. This is another way to write the line because they're both being multiplied by the same group. Any questions? Yes, go ahead, babe.
So like when you break it down from like 40, so you just keep dividing until you basically get just the last
prime numbers. So they're prime numbers. And then circle the prime numbers.
So
don't circle these numbers. When you break this down, this is equal to that. When you break this down, because they're all prime.
Why did you circle 2 right there?
Because they're all prime.
Oh, okay.
And over here, when I circle, because they're alike. In order to find GCF, greatest common factor, the one circle all the pairs they have in common.
And then you go to the outer. That makes sense.
All right. So try these. I'm gonna give you 2 to try on your own. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. What's this number? 6?
Ooh. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna pause for the calls. Give you a chance to answer those 2, please. I'll get for this one. All right. So what's the greatest common factor between these two? No. Bless this heart, Lord. 6x. All right. What did you multiply times 6x to give you x?
Parentheses x minus 7.
X minus 7. What's the GCF between these two? Negative 5. If I take out a negative 5, that's going to give me x. What else? Minus 7. Okay. So my final answer is going to be what? 6x minus 5. X minus 7. Okay. Very good. All right. Make sure if you finish with that one, let's do one more here. And then I want you to start on that worksheet that I gave you. The one more that I want you to do, let's do this one.
Are we doing number 8?
Yeah, we're doing number 8. Let's make this. Did I do that one? Yeah, I did that. Let's do 5x squared minus 40x plus 3x plus 24. Looks very similar, but it's different. Okay. All right, let's do this one.